struggling.
We are passing through a very, very tough life.
I think that these are people who went as individuals.
Controversial meeting between President Museveni and opposition MPs sparks backlash.
Took us by surprise, as a matter of fact.
Are these tactics to weaken opposition?
That's what he would want.
And the good news is, Bunyangabu NRM leaders launch reconciliation drive to heal post-election divisions.
Bring back people's hearts.
This is NBS Live at 9 with Victoria Sibia.
Well, let's get started with our first story for this evening. The Opposition Forum for Democratic Change, President Patrick Amuriat, has condemned a controversial meeting between President Yoweri Museveni and a group of opposition legislators, some of whom are members of his party. The meeting is believed to have taken place on Thursday this week. The delegation, led by senior FDC figure and the party's chief whip in Parliament, Yusuf Nsibambi, claimed they sought audience with President Museveni to press for the release of political prisoners who have been detained in recent months. However, these assertions have been met with widespread skepticism.
A photograph that began circulating on social media on Friday evening shows several opposition legislators posing with President Yoweri Museveni at State House. The image has ignited public debate, particularly given that many of the individuals pictured are outspoken critics of the president, whom they frequently accuse of corruption and authoritarian rule. Among those identified at the meeting was Maokota South Member of Parliament Yusuf Nsibambi of the Forum who is currently unaffiliated to a political party following his fallout with the National Unity Platform and a number of other politicians. After emerging from the meeting, the MPs maintained that discussions focused on several national issues, including the release of individuals detained on political grounds. Opposition party leaders, however, swiftly disowned the engagement, insisting that the MPs neither sought nor received authorization to represent their parties in talks with President Museveni.
Neither myself nor the other senior members of the leadership of the FDC were informed about this meeting.
I think that these are people who went as individuals, because the rest of us don't know about them going for these engagements.
Speaking about the controversial meeting, Amuriat, under whose leadership Nsibambi also serves as chief whip, said the FDC only became aware of the meeting through media reports, while acknowledging that there had been unconfirmed reports of plans by some members to meet the president. He emphasized that the party had neither verified nor endorsed such arrangements.
What happened between our chief whip, or the FDC whip, the Honorable Yusuf Nsibambi, together with a number of NEC members in State House, took us by surprise, as a matter of fact.
Political analysts and commentators have since suggested that the State House meeting was driven less by principle than by political survival. These argue that many of these participants, having lost electoral contests and political leverage, were seeking personal accommodation, with the issue of political prisoners serving as a convenient justification.
Because look, we have battled and grappled with the challenge of political prisoners for a very long time, 5, 6, 7 years. Some have been there for that long. These people have been in Parliament all of this time. How come they have never raised these issues? How come they've never gone for such a meeting? Why are they going for the meeting now that they have failed to return back to Parliament?
I believe that they had a prior arrangement that go in the election. After the election, we meet over a cup of tea. And this is what happened. That's what he would want, to isolate some oppositional leaders and give them position.
What has particularly unsettled the FDC leadership, Amuriat said, is what they describe as President Museveni's long-standing tactic of weakening opposition parties by selectively co-opting individual politicians as a strategy they claim is routinely employed after each election cycle.
And now, the Electoral Commission Chairperson, Justice Simon Byabakama, has asked all aggrieved parties in the just concluded general elections to seek court redress since their mandate ends with result declaration. His response follows increased pressure on the electoral body, with critics accusing EC of falling short of their mandate, citing cases of false
declaration forms, among other malpractices. But in an interview with NBS, the Electoral Commission Chairperson Justice Simon Byabakama said as the Commission, they are pleased to have conducted the most peaceful election exercise.
I think the elections were generally peaceful. We had reported a few incidents of violence here and there, but I want to commend the people of Uganda.
Justice Byabakama confirms that they are reviewing claims of malpractice and false declarations, saying that once the electoral body gathers evidence, they will brief the country and take action against implicated officials.
We are still gathering all the facts from the entire country so that we know the extent and the magnitude of the alleged malpractices. But for now, I cannot comment authoritatively on the manner and the nature of malpractices or issues that have been reported for that to have occurred at the various polling stations.
He is asking candidates with grievances claiming to have been rigged to run to courts of law, noting that their mandate is confined in disputes before and during the polling time. Some returning officers allegedly compromised the electoral process, with reports of ballot tampering and declaration errors sparking concerns about hidden influences.
Therefore, we are encouraging all those who have any complaints or disputes concerning the outcome of the electoral process in any electoral area should go to the courts of law, because that's what it means to be law-abiding.
While Byabakama is impressed with the biometric voter verification kits technology, he says they are investigating circumstances why the kits failed to work during the presidential and parliamentary election on the 15th of January.
And this is the way to go. From now on, every election shall be held using a biometric voter verification system or kit. So in due course, we shall be informing the country of the assessment of the performance of that kit and what exactly happened on the 15th when we had the presidential and parliamentary elections when the kit
Robert Kasiwande to withdraw his petition, saying it's a step towards peace and building trust in the Electoral Commission.
I was informed that he has applied to withdraw the petition, which again is his prerogative.
5 of Uganda's last 7 presidential elections have faced court challenges, with similar disputes arising at parliamentary and local government levels.
Continuing with the electoral body, the Electoral Commission's campaign management is raising eyebrows, with political actors saying the electoral body fell short of the expectations. But while some rate the Electoral Commission to have performed under par, citing unfairness in the handling of presidential campaigns, while others say the Commission managed the polls better than it did in 2021.
The presidential nomination process kicked off the 2026 campaigns, giving candidates a 3-month head start. But as campaigns kicked off, it was a mixed bag. Some presidential candidates enjoyed preferential treatment, while others faced it rough, echoing 2021 when some were denied permission to campaign on nomination day, leading to confrontations.
Election in terms of how they managed it.
The playground was a little bit inclined, but that usually happens, especially if there are people who are conducting a protest vote.
Section 12 of the Electoral Commission Act mandates the electoral body in an orderly manner. However, critics pin the Electoral Commission for failing to tame the appetite of security agencies that they say took over EC's role of managing elections.
And the best result from the Electoral Commission was a statement condemning and calling upon police to investigate. We've never heard from them since then.
Most of the majority of the political parties in Uganda were able to campaign, and their campaigns were peaceful and were conducted in a calm manner throughout the country.
The former member of parliament of Alur County, Odongauto, says the campaign grounds were unleavened on the side of the opposition. He argues that the scale and nature of irregularities witnessed were troubling. This, he says, points to the deliberate manipulation rather than administrative failure.
Actually, the electoral process is unfair if you don't belong to the ruling party. You don't expect fairness. Because the state actors, the state and the regime are fused for purpose of elections.
In some areas, certain candidates were curtailed from campaigning while others freely engaged with electorates. These accuse the Electoral Commission of having lost control of the electoral process.
When Robert Kyagulanyi was around Kampala, we saw some instances of confrontation between the police and the supporters of National Unity Platform.
I don't know who was telling the truth, but that particular incident in Iganga changed the trajectory of the narrative about the campaign. Because now people started asking us in NRM why we were attacking Kyagulanyi, yet it was the security agencies doing so because of the violations that were indicated.
In some cases, the integrity of candidates as well had a bearing on the management of the campaigns. But in the aftermath of the polls, courts across the country have registered a surge in election petitions with aggrieved candidates seeking vote recounts and in some cases the annulment of the election results. The Electoral Commission has previously defended its management of the elections, insisting that the polls were conducted in accordance with the law.
Now let's move to the main opposition party. The National Unity Platform has registered a record performance in Jinja City after sweeping the majority of elective positions in the just concluded general elections. Political analysts attribute the party's success to a combination of factors, including strong mobilization, strategic candidate
Hafid Nagaya, NUP candidates dominated the polls, securing all 4 parliamentary seats, 2 division mayoral positions, and several councilorships at both city and division levels. Jinja South East constituency was won by Paul Mwiru, Jinja South West by incumbent Dr. Timothy Batuwalusala, who recently crossed from the Forum for Democratic Change to NUP. Jinja North was taken by comedian and radio presenter Hussein Muyonjo, popularly known as Swengere, while the woman member of parliament seat was clenched by political newcomer Sarah Rwansasula. Political analysts say one of the key drivers behind NUP's victory was the mobilization strength of Paul Mwiru, who also serves as the NUP coordinator for the Busoga sub-region. Mwiru successfully rallied opposition figures to the party, including sitting members of parliament, while also identifying candidates with strong grassroots appeal.
They got the rightful people and they gave them the tickets. But also they had the command. They had the command to the extent that, for example, Mwiru was commandeering this region of Busoga. He looked around for candidates, he identified the people to work with. You can have a political party. So he helped galvanize the NUP, bring it together, because he was first of working with the people he knew.
The message of the president, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi sent him, it was very clear because it focused on a new Uganda. and everybody focused on the new Uganda, on top of us being organized and working as a team.
Political analyst Paul Kawanguzi further notes that the financial preparedness of several NUP candidates gave the party a competitive edge during the campaigns.
This were well facilitated, especially the three candidates. When you look at Batuwa, he had a lot of money. Actually, he had to spend the NRM. Muir also had money. And Kaira Julius, who is currently the city councillor for Southern Division, had also a lot of money. Now, when you're if you're enjoying the wave, but also have some money, then it becomes easier for you.
The role of media, particularly Paul Mwiru's radio station, which played a significant role in amplifying NUP's messages and countering ruling party narratives, was also instrumental through the campaign period.
That radio station helped them so much. You see here, whoever you see in politics here in Jinja, in most cases, the key actors, most of them have radio stations.
NUP has cemented its position as a formidable opposition force in the Busoga sub-region, setting the stage for heightened political competition in the years ahead.
Actually, the people of Jinja should expect the best. They have seen the rest, now they have to see the best out of a capable leadership which has been put in place.
Now moving on to the ruling National Party, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, has promised improved service delivery in Busia, saying communities backing NRM deserve better. She was speaking at the NRM rally in Buanda in Busia, celebrating President Museveni's win in the party's improved performance from 46% in 2021 to 65% in 2026 polls.
Thousands of NRM supporters thronged Buanda Primary School playground in Masafu Town Council, Busia District, to celebrate President Yoweri Museveni's victory in the just concluded general elections. The celebration followed Busia District's improved NRM performance, where the party secured 65% of the vote, up from 46% in the 2021 general elections, where they lost to the National Unity Platform. While addressing NRM supporters, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, commended the people of Busia for renewing their trust in the ruling party, promising that their support would translate into tangible development.
NRM, we want to thank you for supporting NRM. And I want to pledge to you that as NRM, we are going to do a lot of work here. We are going to make sure that we develop Busia.
NRM leaders attributed the victory to the party's key priorities, particularly peace, stability, and continued infrastructure development across the country.
Don't take that for granted, comrades, that Uganda is peaceful from one border to another. You can drive with your camera from Busia up to Koboko. Nobody will even touch your bag. Nobody will ask who you are. That is the peace we are enjoying. And to me, that was the most significant achievement that we scored.
Responding to the opposition claims challenging the president's 71% national victory, Todong called for unity, urging political rivals to put differences aside and work together for the good of the country.
We did not take them as our enemies. We were addressing issues that affect Ugandans, not them. So they are not the problem. The problem are poverty, illiteracy, backwardness, underdevelopment, and those are the things we address in our manifesto. So we look at them as comrades in partnership. So if they can come, we shall join hands and work with them together. And that will bring the healings that this country requires, that leaders can compete and still come and work together.
While some are celebrating, others are navigating pain and loss. Many supporters of losing candidates are still nursing both emotional and physical wounds after the recently concluded elections. From violent injuries to the pain of long hours and personal sacrifices that yielded no victory, their devotion came at a high cost. These stories reveal the often overlooked human toll behind Uganda's political campaigns and the investment that die-hard supporters put in.
As the country headed to the 2026 general elections, many individuals who were not directly contesting elective positions played critical roles behind the scenes. These included campaign coordinators, polling agents, and die-hard supporters who invested time, energy, and resources to ensure victory for their preferred candidates. While victory brings celebration, the process can also inflict deep pain when candidates lose or when violence erupts. Some supporters ended election cycles, nursing injuries, and emotional trauma far beyond the disappointment of defeat. 24-year-old Fabiano Bob is one of such victims. He is currently recovering from a gunshot wound to the arm after violence broke out during protests demanding the declaration of NUP candidate Sumaya Nabawanuka in Mubende. Fabiano says chaos erupted after allegations that their candidate's victory had been interfered with, prompting supporters to gather at the district tally center to protect their vote. He was hit by a stray bullet as security forces dispersed the crowd. Doctors at Mubende Hospital say the bullet shattered a bone and his recovery will take time. Fabiano is not alone. Another supporter who asked to remain anonymous and whom we will prefer to call Patrick says his involvement in campaigning during the last two elections nearly cost him his life. His current condition reflects the ordeal he endured. Patrick says days before polling, he received intelligence that people were searching for him, forcing him into hiding and separation from both his family and candidates.
January 1st, we received the information that the threatening information that you are going to be abducted. So ever since then, we are passing through a very, very tough life. I myself, I have family.
Meanwhile, Semanda Blasio, who served as spokesperson for the NRM flag bearer in Mubende municipality during the last election, says he is still grappling with the loss. He notes that recalling the time invested in the campaign is painful, adding that for nearly 3 years, his family barely saw him, only for the campaign to end in defeat.
I have my family, I have my work, where I'm getting some money. But according to the time I put in the struggle, it leads to the decrease of my income status.
Kalungu Dennis, a former head of campaign task force, shares similar frustration. He says they were confident of victory when the campaign began, but their hopes were ultimately crushed.
I myself have lost many things. First of all, time. First of all, the family have been losing me, have been missing me, and my job. Plus, as I told you, that I'm the director of a certain school.
The experiences of these supporters highlight the often overlooked human cost of Uganda's electoral process, underscoring the urgent need for stronger protection, not only for the candidates, but supporters, to prevent loss of life, livelihoods, and long-term trauma beyond the ballot.
Now on to the NRM. Leaders in Bunyangabu district have moved to restore unity within the national resistance movement following a heated election that left party members divided. Today, they convened a reconciliation meeting, bringing together former contestants and key stakeholders to heal rifts and strengthen party cohesion ahead of future political engagements.
In the aftermath of closely contested elections at all levels, tensions have remained high among national resistance movement supporters in Bunyangabu district following grievances that emerged after the polls. Concerned about the growing divisions, district party leaders convened a reconciliation meeting aimed at uniting the aggrieved sides and restoring harmony within the ruling party.
So I realized they should put in this and we bring back people's hearts and people get to understand what I meant about this.
People fought too much. Yes, there are a lot of fights in campaign. And as a party chairperson, I see it very important that what next after elections. Because one person wins, others fails. And in the politics, it is very hard to lose an election and you say it was free and fair.
Leaders cautioned that unresolved misunderstandings could weaken the party's grassroots support if left unaddressed.
Yeah, people were so much diverted. People were fighting. People are bitter. People are talking ill about each other. People were fighting.
But how can we bring back those people, because they are very, very important?
Participants who contested in the elections welcomed the initiative, describing it as a timely intervention to ease tensions.
We are trying as much as possible to forge a way forward so that we're able to work together as a team, as Toro region, to benefit more from government programs.
The Vihiga District NRM leadership pledged to sustain dialogue and enforce party discipline to prevent future conflicts.
So we would wish to see leaders coming together, not only active leaders into politics, but even those who participated and did not go through. They are all leaders, so that we come together and we build our district, because Vihiga is bigger than us.
With commitments from all sides to embrace reconciliation, leaders say the unity drive is expected to stabilize the party and refocus efforts on service delivery and development in Vihiga district.
More to come.
Well, in more to come, we move a little bit away from the politics as Uganda Wildlife Authority celebrates conservation wins and looks ahead to 2026.
There is a new era of elegance and it begins at your event. At Peno Events, we have upgraded with fresh, modern, stylish event pieces designed to transform any space into a masterpiece. From luxury tents to elegant furniture to premium mobile washrooms, hand wash stations, lounge sets, parasols, wooden chairs, modern chair set, banquet setup. Peno Events. Safe, reliable, stylish. Book now.
Today is a good day to draw up a new play. So start something. Make your move and get in your groove. Do it for the gram. Do it for the culture. Be loud. Be extra. Be a thinker. A life eater. A Tusker light drinker. Start something. Turn on your light. Tusker light.
I want to be an engineer. I want to be a chef. I want to be a mechanic. I want to be a musician. I want to be a basketballer.
Twinbrook International School is a school where you will see people from around the world. It's diverse. You will have the opportunity to experience things you've never experienced before. We have highly skilled teachers and a comfortable environment that does not pressure but eases the minds of students to help them into their future careers. Our school integrates art, culture, history, language, and performing arts such as drama, music, and dance into the academic curriculum. Work smart, succeed. Twinbrook International School.
Buy genuine Decra roofing tiles, the original stone-coated alu zinc steel roofing system from New Zealand. Choose from Heritage, Milano, Shingo, Shake, and Classic profiles with a variety of colors and a 50-year warranty. Only available at Depot Uganda. Telephone 0776 898 888 or 0758 853 285. Depot Uganda. Tried, tested, and trusted.
So, Muchara.
Yes, Daddy.
You know the children are going back to school and things are a bit tight. For now, why don't you take half of the fees to junior school, and for the school van contribution, we shall pay later.
Daddy, why don't we pay using MTN Momo, where we stand a chance of winning school fees for a whole year and more? By the way, you can also apply for a school fees loan, and also participating schools can win a school van.
That's right! Win school fees for a whole year and more. Get more goodies and a school van for participating schools. You can also apply for a school fees loan. Simply dial *165*80# or use the Momo app.
It's back, bigger and with more business opportunities. It's the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo Poate 2026, Uganda's flagship tourism event. Poate 2026 will take place from the 21st to the 23rd of May 2026 at the Speak Resort Convention Center, Munyonyo, under the theme Wanderlust. It's your time to thrive. Yes, it's your time to tap into Uganda's renewed optimism and tourism growth. Tourism stakeholders, travel trade partners, and tourism enthusiasts will be part of the Poate 2026. Come and network with like-minded people and unlock new business opportunities. To participate, register at www.poate.co.ug. Poate 2026 is brought to you by Uganda Tourism Board and partners.
Welcome back. You're still watching NBS Live at 9. And now continuing with our stories. The Rotary District Governor, 9214, Christine Kawoya Cheune, has paid her first ever official visit to the Rotary Club of Chigo Seven Lakes Golf, marking a significant milestone for the club. Speaking to Rotarians and members of the Chigo Seven Lakes Golf Resort, Kawoya called for partnerships and collaboration. She emphasized that Rotary's ability to create lasting change increasingly depends on strong alliances, both among Rotary clubs and with forward-thinking companies that share Rotary's values of service above self.
District Governor 9214 Christine Kawoya Cheune was welcomed with warm applause and heartfelt praise as she arrived for her official visit to the Rotary Club of Chigo Seven Lakes Golf. The visit drew together a number of Rotary Club leaders, bringing into one space presidents of different action clubs, charter presidents, past and current club leaders, in addition to members from across the district. In her address, she praised Next Media for playing a critical role in amplifying Rotary's work across Uganda. She specifically cited platforms such as NBS TV and Afromobile for consistently showcasing Rotary initiatives, thereby bringing service projects closer to public and inspiring wider community engagement.
For laying that, because wherever you aim for something, it's very important to note where you're going to take something. What is that different thing that you're going to be remembered for? King, you're going to be remembered in this club as that person who was able to transform your club to an old PHF club. We have signed, you have amplified our voice, and you continue to make us extremely proud and visible in whichever sphere.
We have lots and lots of stories that we run on mainstream media and social media, and I can say we have handles, we have all social media platforms. We've grown our numbers 10x. We had polio fund contribution, and the plan was that we put in $10,000. To date, after 7 months, we are at $10,409.
President of the Rotary Club of Chigo Seven Lakes Golf and CEO of Next Media, Kin Karisa, was recognized as an amplifier of impact. The award acknowledged his commitment to using the media as a force for good, spotlighting Rotary's humanitarian efforts and strengthening the organization's public image.
Rotary District 9214 appreciates Next Media for the valuable partnership in amplifying our Rotary brand. So let us go out there. Let us form partnerships, because alone you can run very fast, but together you'll go very far.
Stand humble and proud to represent the people and Rotarians of Africa, of Middle East and Eastern Europe, including Ukraine, Pakistan, and such countries at the board of Rotary International.
The occasion was further marked by a moment of growth and celebration as the club formally welcomed new members into the Rotary Club of Chigo 7 Lakes Golf as Paul Harris Fellows.
Well, a big congratulations to the Rotary Club of Chigo 7 Lakes Golf. Now, moving on from the city into the wild, Uganda's national parks are battlegrounds where rangers risk everything to protect wildlife. For some families, conservation has come at a devastating cost. A loss of a loved one, with many losing a parent, a partner and a provider. Yet, amidst the grief, a story of resilience emerges as Uganda Wildlife Authority celebrates conservation wins and looks ahead to 2026. They are also honoring the fallen rangers whose ultimate sacrifice paved the way for progress. Their legacy lives on in the children whose futures they are helping shape. Our reporter, Linda Ndumwami, brings us that story.
Every day, Uganda's wildlife rangers step into forests, savannas and mountains, knowing that protecting wildlife may cost them everything. For these men and women, conservation is not just a job, it is a dangerous calling. Over the years, dozens of Uganda Wildlife Authority rangers have lost their lives in the line of duty, shot by armed poachers, attacked by wild animals, or killed in accidents while protecting Uganda's national parks. Behind every fallen ranger is a family left behind, widows forced to rebuild their lives, children growing up without parents, and futures suddenly filled with uncertainty.
We have had a number of colleagues lose their lives, those who paid the ultimate price for conserving Uganda's wildlife resources. They leave behind their loved ones, they leave behind their spouses and children.
For Uganda Wildlife Authority, the death of a ranger does not end with burial. It comes with responsibility. To honor fallen rangers, Uganda Wildlife Authority established the Fallen Rangers Fund, an initiative dedicated to educating and supporting children whose parents died while protecting Uganda's wildlife.
This Fallen Rangers Fund is to support the children of our colleagues who have died strictly in the line of duty, protecting wildlife. So we've lost quite a number, and we have around 150 orphans that we are educating right now.
One of the families living this reality is that of Hope Kobsheshe. Her husband, Angel Kobsheshe, was working as an accountant officer with Uganda Wildlife Authority at Queen Elizabeth National Park when he was shot dead in February 2013.
He was attacked by the thieves. At work. It was morning hours, around 11, when the thief attacked him in office. He wanted money, so his death came up like that. The guy shot him and he ended up dying.
More than a decade later, she says the support from Uganda Wildlife Authority has kept her family standing. Her children, once in primary school, are now in secondary education. The youngest, born after his father's death, is now joining Senior 1.
That baby who was in the womb is now 12 years, making 13 this year, and is joining Senior 1 already.
To sustain this support, Uganda Wildlife Authority is calling on Ugandans to take part in the Fallen Rangers Conservation Marathon scheduled for March 1st, 2026 at Kitante Primary School in Kampala. Participants will purchase marathon kits with proceeds going directly towards school fees, uniforms and scholastic materials for the children.
A gold kit is going to be at 50,000. And it comprises of a vest, we have a cape, we have an armband, we have a marathon bag, all these things. And then we have a bronze kit, it's just going to be a vest.
I would like to call upon and to pay for these scholastic materials.
Among the beneficiaries is Tashoma Kelvin, now in Senior 2, an orphan of the late Angel Kobshenshe. He says understanding his father's sacrifice has shaped how he views conservation and the role of Uganda Wildlife Authority. As UWA honors its fallen rangers, it is also reporting encouraging conservation gains, achievements made possible by the sacrifices of those who patrol the parks. In 2026, Uganda Wildlife Authority plans to expand rhino conservation efforts.
We have another 16 rhinos to take to Ajay. Remember we are supposed to take 20. We took only 4, so 16 are going. We expect another 30 rhinos. We are going to import another 30 rhinos. And these ones are going to be taken to Kidepo Valley National Park.
Technology has also strengthened ranger safety and wildlife protection. Through an integrated monitoring system, Uganda Wildlife Authority can now monitor activity across several national parks in real time. As Uganda looks toward a stronger conservation and tourism future in 2026, Uganda Wildlife Authority says it will not forget the price paid to protect it.
Well, it's time that we get your feedback. You're using the hashtag there, NBS Live At. Now, let's look at the question we've asked is, what strategies can the opposition use to engage in dialogue with the government while avoiding misinterpretation or undermining their credibility? Let's see what you had to say there from our question. Mr. Arthur Wabui says the opposition must restructure its mode of politics from being an opposition of hate speech and division to an alternative government through aligning with national principles such as patriotism and democracy, both in word and deed, so as to engage in dialogue with government. And Mr. Derek Tarama says, refer consistently to shared democratic norms, constitutional duties, or agreed policy objectives. This keeps engagement from looking personal or transactional and reinforces credibility as a principled actor. Well, let's see what our top leaders are saying, and of course the head of state, President Yoweri Museveni. He says, today in Dar es Salaam, I held a fruitful bilateral talks with Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan. We agreed to deepen Uganda-Tanzania cooperation in energy, trade, infrastructure, and regional peace. We reviewed progress on key projects, including the ECOP, which is on course, as well as plans for gas and refined oil pipelines that will strengthen our shared energy security and position Tanzania as a key export corridor, for Uganda. Redress. Meanwhile, the President, Yoweri Museveni, opposition MPs meeting has sparked backlash over loyalty. And finally, division erupts as KCCA orders Kasita to verify final compensation list. Those are top stories this evening, and NBS Live at 9 takes a quick break.
Today, we choose our future. We choose peace. Let's protect our home from violence. Differing choices are part of democracy. Every voice matters. Every vote is for our shared country. Trust in the process and the electoral bodies. Let's vote with our hearts and minds, without provocation and intimidation. This is home. Let's keep it safe. Let's talk peace.
Best friend you have for Emuteni yo ya dollar. Gamati best friend you Emuteni yo ya dollar nyo.
tutandikidde Kampala naye tugendagenda mu ggwanga lyonna nga tugaba school fees wa mwaka mulamba.
Twebaza Omukama okuba nti nno atuwadde omukisa guno ate ne MTN okuba nti esasulidde omwana fees ez'omwaka omulamba ebe tutikudde omugugu era kuba sente ezo ziba nnyingi nnyo.
Sasula school fees ng'okozesa Momo. Onyiga *655*80# ng'osasula school fees w'omwana wo, essomero nga liwangula school van, naawe bw'oba kwegamba nga embeera ekukuttemu ng'ofuna school fees loan. Weewaawo.
Yeto inagafumba. You got Glovo. Oina cheweta mukatale tofayo. You got Glovo. You can order what you want. You can get what you need. You got Glovo. You got it all. Order Glovo and receive it in minutes.
You will always know when you're in the presence of the finest. It's like time slows down, just enough for you to feel everything in full flavor.
Tusker Malt Lager. Alcohol is not for sort persons under 18. Please drink responsibly.
So, Muchara.
Yes, Daddy.
You know the children are going back to school and things are a bit tight. For now, why don't you take half of the fees to junior school, and for the school van contribution, we shall pay later.
Daddy, why don't we pay using MTN Momo, where we stand a chance of winning school fees for a whole year and more? By the way, you can also apply for a school fees loan, and also participating schools can win a school van.
That's right! Win school fees for a whole year and more. Get more goodies and a school van for participating schools. You can also apply for a school fees loan. Simply dial *165*80# or use the Momo app.
Welcome back. We started off with that feedback you heard from the president that Uganda and Tanzania have agreed to strengthen cooperation in energy development, trade, facilitation, infrastructure and regional peace following a high-level talks held today in Dar es Salaam. The arrangements were announced today during a joint press briefing by President Yoweri Museveni and his host, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, after bilateral discussions between delegations from the two countries.
And that the cooperation includes plans for a gas pipeline from Tanzania to Uganda, as well as a refined oil pipeline from Uganda to Tanzania port of Tanga, positioning Tanzania as a key export corridor for Uganda's petroleum products.
Lakini ndani yake kuna mambo mengi ambayo tulizungumza jinsi ya kuendana nayo tuyamaliza, lakini pia tumezungumzia mabomba mawili mengine. Kuna bomba la gesi takalotoa gesi Tanzania kupeleka Uganda, lakini kuna bomba la mafuta safi sasa ambayo yatakuwa yamesafishwa Uganda yanakwenda kwenye nchi yanakouzwa. Tatumia corridor hiyo ushoroba huo kusafirisha hadi Tanga na Tanga kutafuta safari yako huko yanakopelekwa.
On trade and logistics, President Samia said discussions focused on improving access for Ugandan traders to Tanzania ports, particularly Tanga and Dar es Salaam, to ease the transportation of goods. She added that Tanzania had been requested to extend railway connectivity deeper into Uganda to facilitate smoother and more cost-effective movement of cargo. The Tanzanian leader emphasized the need to eliminate trade barriers between the two countries, noting that while cooperation has been strong, some non-tariff barriers have persisted. Energy production projects aimed at domestic needs while also supplying regional and international markets. On regional peace and security, she revealed that Tanzania and Uganda discussed strategies to promote peace and stability in the Great Lakes region, adding that there's a shared plan to initiate dialogue processes aimed at resolving conflicts in the region. President Samia Suluhu also warmly welcomed President Museveni to Tanzania, describing the country as his home. She congratulated him and the National Resistance Movement on their landslide electoral victory, attributing it to the party's manifesto and ideological clarity, and reaffirmed Tanzania's readiness to continue working closely with Uganda. In his remarks, President Yoweri Museveni said Africa's independence, achieved by earlier generations of leaders, must be protected. He noted that true prosperity in the modern era comes from producing goods and services, selling them competitively, and generating income for citizens, which he described as continuation of Africa's liberation struggle.
Like we were discussing the issue of Tanzania taking the lead in making locomotives here. Her Excellency mentioned how they are planning to do it. They should go ahead and we buy from you. This is what was the Kampala Agreement of 1965 was saying. We had agreed that Tanzania manufactures tires in Arusha and we buy from them. And then Uganda specializes in textiles, Nyanza textiles. Then Kenya something else.
President Museveni also highlighted the importance of strategic security, saying Uganda and Tanzania have addressed several tactical security issues affecting the region during the meeting.
We in the army call them tactical issues, individual problems. But we need to consolidate the strategic ones.
The Ghanaian leader observed that while powerful countries may exert pressure on African states, the continent's response depends on its internal strength, unity and economic resilience.
Baada ya uhuru, we need to move to strengthen Africa, not to repeat those problems. Because I can see some threats already coming up. You can see jeuri, arrogance, as if people who don't have strength don't matter.
The two heads of state reaffirmed their commitment to deepening bilateral relations and strengthening cooperation for the benefit of their people and the wider East African region.
The back-to-school season is right around the corner now as schools prepare to reopen for the 2026 academic year on February 10. Teachers are raising concerns about the long break students have had at home, warning it may affect their focus and readiness. Educators say extra effort will be needed to help learners readjust and regain enthusiasm for learning. At Kampala High School, art teacher Aaron Chiwumuro notes that some students return disinterested and may need support in the first 2 weeks. Educationist Dr. Lawrence Muganga adds that long breaks, while disruptive, also allow children to explore the world and strengthen family bonds. Meanwhile, parents across Kampala are buying school supplies despite rising costs, preparing their children for a smooth start to the year.
It will affect their performance in this first month, but afterwards they cope and they enjoy. We have to realign them because parents have not done their best. Actually, most of them complain. When are they starting school? Let them go. It's like they feel their children are safer in our hands.
At home, they are bonding. They are exercising their true humanity in the real world. They have now the ability to relate to the neighbors. They get a chance to go to church, to go to a mosque. They can go to different places, to go to even move along different roads and see that there are some homeless people on the road. There are people who are beggars. That is also a very good lesson for them to start understanding the world we live in and say, you know what? Whatever I have, I should be very grateful.
You see this set, last year I remember buying it at 5,000, but now they're selling it at 7,000. So currently the prices are still very high.
Well, it's time that we move on to some sports this evening. The Uganda Secondary School Sports Association, or USSA, has thrown weight behind Federation of Uganda Football Association President Moses Magogo's call for increased government funding to support sport development in schools. This comes after Magogo's controversial document to Parliament with a special budget request.
The Uganda Secondary School Sports Association has thrown weight behind the Federation of Uganda Football Association President Moses Magogo's call for increased government funding to support sports development in schools. This comes after Magogo's controversial document to Parliament with a special budget request.
We've seen government spend over 700 billion supporting the youth to take them out of unemployment into the money economy, as the president calls it. We are also saying as sport, as football, we need intervention such that we can take the industry into a money-generating sector.
In his controversial funding request to Parliament, the FUFA president, Moses Magogo, was seeking additional resources to improve sports infrastructure, including the purchase and supply of balls and other sports equipment to secondary schools across the country in the mass football project.
The children must have good equipment, and when we talk of football, the good equipment is the football.
Despite the controversy around the concealed budget request document, the Uganda Secondary School Sports Association President Justus Mugisha has rallied behind Magogo's request for more funds, highlighting that the Uganda Secondary School Sports Association receives limited funds, which are not enough to meet the growing demand of school sports.
And it can do that by availing funds for balls, shin guards to be distributed to all the schools where the children are. I support his view.
Uganda Secondary School Sports Association receives $7 billion annually from the government, which is insufficient, according to Mugisha.
But most of it for Fiasawat. Yeah, but unfortunately, that is very little. When you check our budget, it goes to around 17 billion.
Mugisha also allayed fears that more encouragement of sports in schools may affect the students' commitment to classes.
Our rules and regulations, if you follow them, they are now very specific. We don't allow repeaters because those people could always repeat. We don't allow repeaters. And also, we are age-based.
The move of increased funds is expected to enhance fair competition and strengthen grassroots sports development in the country.
Business Pulse.
Well, of course, we cannot miss out on the business part of things. Now, the Uganda shilling is breathing a sigh of relief post-elections, signalling a return to stability and focus on economic fundamentals. Senior economist Julius Mukunda notes the currency's steady performance against the US dollar reflects growing confidence, but warns that policymakers must stay on track. With inflation now below the 5% medium-term target, it's a far cry from the last election year when prices were soaring and the economy was struggling.
In the 2021 and 2026 general elections, the Uganda shilling was under pressure, inflation was in double digits, GDP growth had slowed to around 2% following the COVID-19 shock, and political uncertainty fueled volatility in the foreign exchange market. But during the 2026 general election, the shilling appears to be telling a different story. Economists say these fundamentals have given markets room to reassess Uganda's outlook beyond politics.
The fundamental a very huge difference. And I think that the whole difference was that the inflation was in a double digit. Yes, inflation was in double digit. And at the same time, that created a lot of the weakening of the Ugandan shilling.
Ugandan shilling is doing well, and which is unusual because most times when we are going into the election, season, the Ugandan shillings normally depreciate massively during that short period of time, and of course this is due to the uncertainty that comes with the this season. But surprisingly, it was not the case. But at the same time, it wasn't surprising because we need to look at the major driver.
The reality on the ground this time round is that the shilling has held its ground. It has been very steady against regional currencies, against international currencies. In my view, This is a reflection of a couple of things. Number one, the people who otherwise would have wanted to remove their money because of elections left the money here. If they had had that desire to try and run and remove their money, clearly the shilling would have suffered.
The anticipated start of oil production has boosted investor sentiment, signaling long-term dollar inflows and reinforcing confidence that Uganda's growth trajectory is strengthening.
Being one of actually stable currencies in the region and beyond. So the major driver is actually the foreign direct investment inflows into the country. And these are majorly into the oil industry, as Uganda prepares to get its first oil out this year in July. There's a lot of investment happening. So we're already seeing the fruits of the oil sector in Uganda. And of course, we cannot forget about the increased revenues, and from export of, let's say, gold.
Economists add that shifting resources toward productive sectors, lowering the cost of doing business, especially through better infrastructure and trimming expenses that do not generate returns, will be critical to sustaining current stability.
On expenses that don't bring returns to the economy. Because we need expenses that create jobs, for example. You need that serious.
Under the current conditions, economists expect the shilling to remain broadly stable against the dollar throughout the year. It is hoped that strong exports, steady FDI inflows, oil sector optimism help keep the currency within a narrow trading range.
Best friend wa fe emuteni yo ya dala gamba ti best friend wa emuteni yo ya dala nyo
tutandikidde Kampala naye tugenda mu ggwanga lyonna nga tugaba school fees wa mwaka mulamba.
Twebaza omukama okuba nti nno atuwadde omukisa guno ate ne MTN okuba nti esasulidde omwana fees ez'omwaka omulamba ebe tutikudde omugugu era kuba sente ezo ziba nyingi nnyo.
Sasula school fees ng'okozesa momo onyiga star emu mukaaga 5 star 80 hash ng'osasula school fees w'omwana wo essomero nga liwangula school van naawe bw'oba kwegamba nga embeera ekukuttemu ng'ofuna school fees loan weewaawo.
Across Uganda, the parish development model is paving the way for prosperity, helping families transform their lives through strategic farming practices, like the 4-acre model.
In our Chibaro of 1996, we said first acre, put coffee. Second acre, fruits. The third acre, you put pasture for dairy cows. The fourth acre, for food, cassava. The good thing is that now cassava is also becoming a very good cash product, but at least for food. Then, mind you, the backyard. You put poultry for eggs, you put piggery.
I'm in a 1-acre plot of land. In this 1 acre, Your Excellency, I practice this banana plantation. I also practice coffee. I also have dairy, Your Excellency. Every month, Your Excellency, I get 500,000 from these bunches.
The 7 activities we recommended, they have a big global demand.
We have 10,000 Nile tilapia fish and 10,000 African catfish. And when we sell our 10,000 tilapia, we get in one harvest 20 million shillings.
Fruits, especially capsule, which is cold, can do very high value crops like apples. And then finally, those who are near the wetlands, like the ones in Bukit who are wasting the wetlands, they should do fish farming, not in the center of the swamp, but at the edge of the swamp.
From coffee farms to fish ponds, the 4-acre model is empowering Ugandans to transform their lives. The parish development model is your pathway to wealth creation. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great joy and a pleasure to be here with you on NBS Live at 9, going through all our news stories. I'm glad you can stay informed, but it is still the weekend. I'm pretty sure you want to have a good time. Coming up now is SNL.